iHeartRadio network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the iHeartRadio network, the number one media network in the United States. And also, Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, Big C, according to Big C, that's good old boys down south. Also, we got a good vote from the Black Hole at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. In fact, they even poured some moonshine on me after the win, Big C. I hope it was moonshine, the same way they done with the coaches when the coaches win a game. And also, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you very much for growing by leaps and bounds. And, of course, the good old boys across the pond in Canada and Paris, France, and London, England, of course. But I still want to say Canada, I do want to apologize for chewing up the national anthem. I got a couple of hate letters from people, but I just want to say one more time, I do apologize. I'm going to try to get it right this time. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Okay, Big C, hopefully that will get fewer hate mails. I'm sure I'll get a few that'll slip into the mailbox, Big C. But also, there's no place I love more than the land of the free and the home of the brave. How's it going for you good old boys trying to succeed from the Union, Big C?
Johnson, what a wonderful place to be living in this part of America. It's great. As a kid, it's like you can do what you want to do. You can get up in the morning, walk out in the yard in your birthday suit. No one cares. You might have a bird or raise a limb up over wing up over the head, but that's about it. It's just you get down to nature out here. Dalton is wonderful. Sports are in full bloom, just like everything else. And, the chill is in the air, so it makes you turn up the heat under the moonshine just a little bit.
I understand. I thought you guys froze moonshine. I had no idea you heated it up, Big C. But you also get an education on Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. And I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive one, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And, of course, Big C is the one with a lot of mud on it. But Big C, with all the rain we're actually getting in California now, I doubt if you have any mud on the Escalade. Most everything has water and leaves, Big C. Any leaves on your car down south, Big C?
Oh, yeah, Johnson. We get this beautiful fall foliage out here. It's wonderful this time of year. Very picturesque and everything. It's just, sexy, as we would say. Just beautiful. We know when the leaves turn this color that, Alabama's in first place and everybody else is following. And, we look around and we see a little bit of that remnants of pro football going around because we got the best pro team in the state.
Oh, yeah.
And, everybody else is paying attention.
Yeah. Well, the coach in Alabama makes more than all the NFL coaches in the South, Big C. I think that's incredible. Great Nick Saban. And also, I just want to pay a little bit of homage because we know the great Star Wars movie comes out on Friday night, so that's tomorrow. And a lot of people are gonna enjoy that. Of course, we call with Charlton and Big C Sports the number one sports show in the universe. And long ago in a galaxy far, far away, I believe that's where Darth Vader was hanging out, Big C. And they're also pounding out Charlton and Big C Sports. And before we even get started with our show today, Big C, I just want to say that my heartfelt emotions go out to the world of broadcast. And Craig Sager and his family, one of the best, actually, sports reporters in the history of television, Big C, and even radio. I remember he was there on the field when Hank Aaron hit 7:15, Big C. That's how long Craig Sager had been doing it. And for everybody who has a problem, everybody has problems, but this man fought cancer. He fought it, very difficult fight, but he fought it. And he was always working through the whole time that he had it, Big C. So for everybody going through something, everybody's going through something. He lived a great life, and he did what he loved, Big C. I know you've been around the world and broadcast, Big C, and followed all of the sports all over the globe. Just want to get your thoughts, Big C, on the loss of Craig Sager, but also the celebration of his life as a broadcaster, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look and remember Craig Sager's life, Charlton, he was a pioneer in what he did. The courageousness that he lived his life the past couple of years, and allowing the world to share it with him, Charlton. He didn't go off and hide because of this illness. He brought a lot of awareness to the world of this debilitating disease, Charlton. But Craig Sager, what he did was he loved to work, and he loved to work in the game Craig Sager was as much of the game as any great player or any great coach in the NBA in the past decade and a half. He meant that much to the game. He had friendships and relationships with all of these people. They looked forward to seeing Craig. He had a level of confidence and respect with the players and coaches that no other broadcaster could share in the game, Charlton, because he was genuine. You know, he appreciated entertaining them as well as he did entertaining the fans. You know, he's really known for his flamboyant jackets and suits, but that was part of his persona, Charlton. He was a trailblazer. He didn't care about that appearance of that because it brought a spectacle to the game, because that's what the NBA is, a show, Charlton. And Craig Sager, great man, great humanitarian. And, you know, the thing that you have to appreciate the most, Charlton, is he shared the past couple of years of his life and his struggles with the world. He didn't hide. He shared it with the world. And you think about the courage of doing that, staying on his feet, working those tumultuous hours, traveling with the NBA broadcast, Charlton, even coming out of treatment to do this, Charlton. This was a courageous and brave man, Charlton. And you have to send your thoughts and prayers out to his family, his immediate family, the NBA family, and just the world of broadcast and journalism, because he made everybody a little better and also made everybody respect life a little more.
Yeah, Big C, very well said. And for anybody going through something, just fight. You know, keep fighting. Keep being grateful every day. I'm grateful for being able to even see the work of the great Craig Sager and how many broadcasters. And this is when all of our brethren come together. I know this is a very competitive business, but we all recognize excellence. And when everybody understands that this man, he did not live the final days of his life being sad or asking anyone to be sad. He just talked about, let's find a cure for cancer, and hopefully we can with science and medicine, Big C. But for anybody out there going through something, and we're all going through something, you keep getting up every day, you keep swinging the bat, you keep coming up to the plate, and you keep living your life. And so I just want to congratulate him on his excellent career, his excellent work, and all of the thousands of people that he motivated and inspired by fighting through such a tough battle, Big C. So my hearts and prayers go out to the Sager family, and God bless his soul. And also, Big C, I want to say a little bit about the world of sports, and he covered it so much, Big C. And we talk about how the NBA, I guess they've reached a collective bargaining agreement, and they figured out how to take, you know, paychecks a little bit higher for all the players involved, Big C. And Krager, you know, Sager reported on a lot of these athletes and a lot of the coaches that are part of this new bargaining agreement that the great Adam Silver put together. Your thoughts on the athletes making even more money, Big C?
Well, you think of one of the heights of the NBA and where it's going to go to now. The average salary in the NBA this season, Charlton, is $4 million. When this new collective bargain come into play next season, the average salary will go up to $9 million, Charlton. You will see some top-level players in the NBA, Charlton, making anywhere between $35 and $40 million a season over the next 2 years, where it will go up to. But this is, you know, TV revenue with TNT and ESPN coming in, putting all this money. So it was imperative that the players and the owners sign this collective bargaining agreement, Charlton, to lock the money into place. When you think about the copious amount of cash that flows now in professional athletics, you know, you got players making more than teams did in the 80s. There were whole teams that didn't make as much as one player, mid-level player, that makes now in the 80s. And we're talking about some of the greatest basketball of all time. But money is like everything else, Charlton. It's an era thing. And you can't knock the players who make it now, although I would like to be playing these days. You know, I'm not jealous. I'm not kicked off.
I'm sure you pulling out the old Jordans right now, Big C.
You know, but every time I try to get up, my body keeps saying sit down. You know, but you have to praise the athletes and the leagues and their representatives, Charlton, for being able to make this happen. This goes through stiff and stern negotiation, and not talking about David Stern, you know, because he was one of the trailblazers in creating the collective bargaining agreement for the players, allowing the money to escalate the way it is. Owners make money. They make a lot of money. They make more than the players. We can sit up and talk about a player having a $35, $40 million contract, but you also have to look at an owner making $1 billion. he's not cringing when he writes out that check. He's smiling.
This is like you hear stories about great athletes and how whether it's Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods and Charles Barkley, those guys have been known to frequent the what they call moonshine hole every now and then down in Vegas, Big C. And when it came time for the $3,000 check for dinner, Big C, between the three, two of the three skipped Dodge, Big C. I wonder which one it was that skipped Dodge. We won't tell you which one it was, but they all making seven-figure incomes, Big C. But I just want to touch on something too in the world of sports and broadcast. This is the greatest business in the world. There is no business like the sports business, Big C. It's $1 billion industry. It's the only industry that can have someone like, and again, our hearts and prayers go out to Alan Thicke, who passed away earlier this week, but he's been on a lot of the front of the sports pages because he was a sports guy too, and how it brings everybody together, every religion, both genders. It brings people together from different faiths, Big C. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. There's nothing like the sports business to bring people together. And we also have some truculent issues in sports too. It's always something that can galvanize or even balkanize people based on what team you believe in. I want to ask you this question, Big C. When it comes to the world of broadcast and money, I think it's so important to bring up this point. We're going from nearly doubling the guaranteed money for basketball players, and we're doing that less than a year, Big C. So there's no issue finding money there. The NFL will have something similar coming up as they're trying to grow the revenue, I think, by the next 10 years by $27 billion. Right now it's around $14 billion. So there's a lot of money there. And we also look at the NCAA, Big C. You bring it up all the time, how they're trying to expand the bowl system to get more money for the owners, nothing for the athletes. There's so much money in the world of broadcast, Big C. Tell me, where does all this money come from? And it's great to see some of the athletes, primarily, most of them are African American, and that's what's escalated the leagues, Big C. That's what's escalated the payments, Big C. Where's all the money coming from?
Well, Charlton, it comes from the advertising and broadcasting, the sponsorships. When you look at stadium revenues, Charlton, there's people, even in stadiums, when you build new stadiums, even old stadiums, you remember when the Raiders went back to Oakland from Los Angeles?
Yeah.
They had the fans had to buy the seat from Al Davis.
Yeah.
You had to buy a seat license to be able to buy a ticket to sit in that stadium, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons are building a new stadium that's going to open next year.
Yeah.
They're selling seat license to be able to buy a ticket. You have to buy the license for the seat before you can buy the ticket. So you just can't go up, I want a ticket. No, do you own a seat? No, you don't. So you have to own the seat to buy a seat. And that's where a lot of the money is coming from with the owners. And that's why they're always fighting for these stadiums, Charlton, so they'll have more control of the revenue. But every time you see this advertisement on television, Charlton, those sponsors, those commercials, they spent millions of dollars with the network because they're looking at the totality of the reach that they have. And when you're saying tonight's, Thursday night game, anybody who's watching that game and say 20 million Americans will watch it at least.
Yeah.
So if you spend $1 million to reach 20 million, that's a small amount of money, Charlton.
Yeah.
As far as reaching the core audience, but a commercial on a primetime game is going to cost at least $2 million, Charlton.
But see, that's incredible that you make that point, because if you're a business person, you can kill your business in 3 simple steps, and it's called don't advertise, don't advertise, don't advertise, and you're sure to have your business full shop. Now, how long would it take you to hand out 20 million business cards? Big C, that'd be even good old boys down south would probably have to have a couple pair of Jordans on their feet to hand out 20 million business cards, and TV gets that. And they were talking about maybe even shortening some of the commercials for the NFL. Some people say the viewership is down. I don't think it's down at all. I just see more people watching games on their phones now, and no one puts a Nielsen box on your cell phone. So when people say, well, people aren't watching the NFL as much, I disagree with that. I think they don't have to stay home to watch it. They don't have to go to a sports bar anymore, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, even if they do go to a sports bar, you talk about a home. Average household in America is 5 people.
Yeah.
You go to a sports bar and you have 100, 150 people in there.
Yeah.
And you're only really counting it as one because of the bar.
Yeah.
It's one facility, so you're not going to get the head counts as you get in the households, Charlton. But, the mobility has made sports universal. Well, you can watch it everywhere. You can watch it on an airplane, Charlton, when you're flying across country.
That's true.
You watch it in the airport lounge while you're waiting on a plane, Charlton.
Yeah.
You can watch it in the Greyhound bus terminal. You can watch it anywhere. As you say, apps on the phones, on your computers.
See, hold on. When's the last time you been on a Greyhound bus, Big C?
Well, I passed one on the road today, Charlton. You know, I saw people looking at the little screens up and down.
I hear guys like you and Nick Saban and Donald Trump. You guys don't even know that Greyhound still exists, Big C. just a rumor that I heard. Also, another thing that they don't count how many guys sit together watching like you say, they get together and get some drinks and something to eat, and they'll have 20 guys sitting around watching a football game at somebody's house. That's just one screen, Big C, one TV. But guys are, even at the house, there are guys watching it on their smartphones, Big C. So I don't think the ratings are going down. If anything, I think the ratings are going up, and that's why even the NFL wants to go across the country to Europe, across the world to Europe, Big C. And I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by California Lottery. What can a buck do for you? In fact, tomorrow night's Mega Million is up over about $55 million, and Saturday's Powerball, that's about $120 million, Big C. Not a lot of money for guys like you and Donald Trump, but it's a lot of money for guys like me, Big C. What are you going to do with that $120 million, Big C?
Well, Charles, they're going to bring together a whole lot of Christmas cheer. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to be Santa big time. Ho, 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 everywhere. Me, Rudolph. Yeah, I'll go get some deers. Trust me, we got some deers out here in the woods. I don't know if they'll be able to pull a sled, but they'll be able to get on the horse. So, make some sausage or something. But, we can make a lot of Christmas fathers for a lot of people, Charles. Make a lot of kids happy.
Yeah.
A lot of families hopeful.
Well, Big C, I'm telling you, we've seen the Cadillac commercial with everybody driving muddy Escalades now. When I see Santa flying around with a dirty sled, Big C, I'm going to start talking about how he's, maybe Santa's falling, Charlton, and Big C, the reindeers are throwing mud in the sled, Big C. And speaking of throwing mud, Big C, I want to touch on something that's a bit controversial, but also, in my mind, stupid. In the world of the NFL that we love so much, we know the Rams are playing at home in the great stadium in Seattle, Washington, at Quest Field, and they're actually a 16-point favorite over the Los Angeles Rams, and they just, let go of Jeff Fisher, and they're trying to go up to the great Northwest and play in front of arguably the toughest crowd in football, and they got drubbed over by the Green Bay Packers. I'm sure they want to make amends for that game, Big C, but I just want to get your thoughts first on that game tonight, what we can expect. And then I want to talk about something that's a bit controversial. Big C, your thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, you think about this game, and that 16-point spread, Charlton, that's a huge spread. When you look at the lack of productivity of the Seahawks offense in their last three games, they really haven't scored 20 points, Charlton, in their last three games. So this is a team that, is going to need to get off to a fast start.
Yeah.
And you think about their last three games versus the Rams, Charlton, they're 0-3.
Yeah.
They've lost their last three games against the Rams, although Jeff Goff wasn't playing quarterback, so now they have some hope.
Yeah.
Well,
wait a minute. What do you mean hope? Mel Kiper said he's a can't-miss, maybe even Hall of Famer, Big C. That's what Mel Kiper said.
I think what Mel Kiper meant by Jeff Goff is a can't-miss is that you can't miss him standing in the pocket because you know where it's going to be. And you think about the amount of times he's been hit. Nobody has missed him, Charlton. So, Mel Kiper was right to one degree, but, this is the Seahawks offense that Charlton that really needs to get kick-started. Now, the game wasn't as bad for the offense as people think it was last week in the Green Bay. With the 5 interceptions, 3 of those balls went through a receiver's hands right into defensive back's hands, Charlton.
Yeah.
In that slick weather, cold weather in Green Bay, but the quarterback gets blamed for that.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Goff threw just about as many interceptions in pristine weather in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But the Rams' offense has been even more lackluster than what the Seahawks' offense has been, here, Charlton, in the past 3 weeks. So this is a game the Seahawks need to clinch the division.
Yeah. The
Rams, they're just trying to clean house. They're just trying to figure out who's going to be on the team next year. That's all they're doing.
That who's on first, that joke back in the day. And also, before we touch on a little bit more of the NFL, I just want to congratulate college women's volleyball Division I. Tonight, Division I tournament semifinals in Columbus, Ohio. You have Minnesota there 29-4 versus Stanford 25-7. That game starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And Texas, they're 26-4. They play Nebraska, which is 31-2 at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's for Division I college basketball. And so congratulations to all the teams competing for a championship. But Big C, I've been listening to so many pundits, and of course everybody's making that push for the NFL playoffs and who's going to be, the division winner, who's going to have the best chance of getting home field advantage, and who's going to have the best chance to win on the road. We talked about some of Seattle's issues on the road. But when I go down the line to all of the networks, whether it's ESPN or Fox or the NFL Network, I just want to ask you, why is everybody talking about bringing Tony Romo back when the Cowboys have the best record in the NFL? And I want to ask, for all of the leagues, all the teams leading their division, is there any talk of any other of the other 31 quarterbacks in the league being replaced by a guy that only won one playoff game in about 10 years, Big C? Your thought? Why is so much of that talk going on, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's amazing and perplexing that this is a continuous subject. No team in the NFL has won more consistently and dominantly than the Dallas Cowboys this year, Charlton. Even the New England Patriots, with 2 losses, which is equal to the Cowboys, got shut out in one of their losses. The Cowboys have not been shut out this year, Charlton. They scored in every game. And so when you think about that with the Patriots, and they even lost with Tom Brady at quarterback. But you got a quarterback, Charlton, who's only thrown 4 interceptions. Eli Manning can throw that many in the fourth quarter in one game. And nobody's talking about yanking Eli Manning. We saw Phillip Rivers do it 2 weeks ago, Charlton. Threw 4 interceptions in the game. Nobody said yank Phillip Rivers. But we look around the league, Charlton, at teams making the playoffs and even teams not making the playoffs. They're not talking about replacing the starting quarterbacks. I haven't seen anybody say replace Blake Bortles down in Jacksonville. No one has said, after the game the other night with New England and Baltimore, no one said Flacco's job was in jeopardy. No one said it at all. Matt Ryan, look how he's played this year. The Falcons have lost 5 games. No one has said Matt Ryan, making $126 million, needs to be put on the bench for Matt Schaub. They haven't said that. So when we look around, who's going to bench Carson Palmer, Charlton? As bad as the season has been in Arizona, nobody's going to bench him. Carson Wentz got guaranteed job. Nobody's replacing Carson Wentz. He's only won 5 games in Philadelphia this year, Charlton. You got an 11-win quarterback. An unprecedented area in the NFL. At this point in the season, I think a lot of the pushback, Charlton, though, when you look at it from the peripheral. Last year, we had an MVP African-American quarterback in the NFL who went 15-1 in the regular season and a Super Bowl berth. Okay? We're on the precipice of that once again. With an African-American quarterback potentially going 14-2 at the highest that he can go, potentially getting to the Super Bowl, back-to-back years, Charlton, of African-American quarterbacks going to the NFL. You talk about the myth being blown out of the water, that you can take these quarterbacks that are not that intelligent, that they're great athletes, Charlton, and they don't always understand the scheme of a game. They just, play on their ability. All this myth is being destroyed when you look at it across the board. What has Tony Romo done in the NFL that's greater than what Dak Prescott has produced in the NFL?
He's held the clipboard longer, Big C. He's held the clipboard longer this season than Prescott has, Big C. That's what he's done.
He's had 12 years of inconsistency in the NFL.
How many years? How many?
12 years. Okay? 12 years he's been around. You think about Jason Garrett's first 3 years with the Cowboys, Charlton? He was never better than 8-8. Who was his quarterback? Tony Romo. He went 6-8, 6-8, 8-8. Okay? In the first 3 years with Tony Romo at quarterback. So when did Tony Romo all of a sudden become great? Dak Prescott, in his first year, has won more games than Tony Romo won in his first 5 years in any single season, Charlton. And the season is not over with yet. So what's wrong with the success of the Dallas Cowboys? Why is Jerry Jones so flamboyant about wanting to create this controversy with his own team? Yes, he's the owner. Yes, he's the GM. Yes, he's the coach. But yes, he's the damn fool running the organization also. So you gotta understand that, where it's coming from. This is like the Joker in the Batman, series. That's what he reminds me of. He's the Joker in the Batman series. You gotta sit back and live with success. You can't say that you created this, you didn't. This is Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett has developed this young quarterback, Jonathan. He has a quarterback who is willing to listen to his as a head coach. Instead of an egotistical Tony Romo when he took over the team, Johnson. When he fired Wade Phillips halfway through the season and had 5 games left and stuck Garrett in place. But, Prescott came in. He learned under Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. Dan Mullen learned from Urban Meyer at the University of Florida. So he's had great coaches all along teaching him, Charlton. And he listened to Garrett. Garrett was a backup quarterback in the NFL for 13 years. Played behind Troy Aikman. Played behind Eli Manning and Kurt Warner. So he knew the game, Charlton. He played behind Super Bowl winners.
Well, Big C, I just want to ask you this question because let's just look real quick. Let's look at the AFC East. We have the New England Patriots. They're 11-2. They've been shut out at home by the Buffalo Bills, and they're followed up by Miami. Are any of the coaches or the media suggesting that they sit Tom Brady on the bench or Tannehill on the bench for Miami? Big C, your thoughts?
Tannehill's going to go down because of the knee, and Moore, who is a better quarterback in Miami, is going to play. But it wasn't because he was a better quarterback, Jonathan. It was because of this hype around Tannehill, the reason why he could not get onto the field. No one is saying that Romo is a better quarterback. Everybody's love affair with him won't let them stop talking about him. But when you look at Romo, he has not played in a year, Charlton. Look at it. An entire year. So what timing is he going to have going onto the field? All he's going to do is sputter if you ever put him out there. Now, if you put Romo out there on the field and he sputters, what have you created now? You got a team that you've lost.
Bad chemistry.
You got a team that you've lost because everybody's going to say, you put him in here for us to deal with this crap. That's what the players are going to say. We had something good going. You put him in it. And then if he struggles, Jonathan, how do you take him out and put Prescott back in the game?
Well, I remember there was a time.
That's the scenario nobody's looked at.
There was a time when Dick Vermeil was the head coach of the Eagles and Barkowski was a quarterback, and that's the year they went on. Jaworski was a quarterback. Then they went on to play the Raiders in the Super Bowl. I think the 1980 or 81 Super Bowl.
1980 Super Bowl in New Orleans. Jim Plunkett.
And the Raiders won that game, but I'll never forget Vermeil telling Jaworski, "You're my guy. Quit thinking about being pulled. I'm going with you. You're my guy." And that got the Eagles into the Super Bowl, even though they got beaten up by the Raiders in that game. And I want to ask you also, that's what we don't hear for Dallas, and that's probably what's going to cost them if they don't get to a Super Bowl in the own state of Texas. It's going to be because they'd rather lose with a white guy that's only won one playoff game in 12 years than win with a black guy, Big C. I want to ask you about the AFC South. The Houston Texans, they have Brock Osweiler as their starting quarterback, who's a joke, and also Tennessee Titans, they have Mariota, who's going to be a star player. Are they talking about benching those guys, Big C? They only have 7 wins for Houston and 7 wins for Tennessee. Dallas has, right now, you look at the Cowboys, they have 11 wins under Prescott. Are they going to bench Houston and Tennessee starting quarterbacks, Big C?
Neither one of those teams, Charlton, will equal Dallas's win total thus far this season, okay? They can only hope and aspire to be that good. But, you look at Osweiler. He's had, 5 games, Charlton? He has not thrown for 200 yards this year.
Horrible. He's
5 games and he's not thrown for 200 yards. And yet the media knocked Prescott last week for not achieving the 200-yard plateau. And yet you have a quarterback in the same state that it's 5 games that he has not achieved it. And no one is saying bench Osweiler, that he's not what we thought he was. He's only won 7 games. He looks skittish in the pocket. Prescott looks poised. And he's always ready to take on the challenge every play, John. But, there's no cry about when Mariota throws 3 interceptions in the game. Hey, it's time to bench him. When Osweiler, throws for 120 yards in one game. No one said it's time to bench him. And he did this on national television. I think he had the lowest completion percentage on yards per catch in a game against Denver on a Monday night. He set an NFL record for low.
I think he's the only one of 2 quarterbacks to not even throw for 100 yards in one game this year, but he's still stealing $72 million. He must. You know how some guys they don't show up to work, Big C. They always leave. They come late and they leave early, but they're always first in line when it's time to get paid. Do you think he still holds his head down when he gets paid? He probably has that direct deposit thing going on. Big C, what are your thoughts?
Well, he's one of the tallest guys on the team, Jonathan, so you can't miss him at 6'6". So, he shows up with the curly hair. That's my paycheck. The heavy one belongs to me. That heavy paycheck belongs to me. That's what he's saying, Jonathan. But, you're going to pay me, I can't on a paper.
Yeah, it's so funny. So the whole state of Dallas, the Lone Star State, and the best, they have some great football playing in the state of Texas from high school and college level. But at the pro level, everybody wants to be a Cowboy. And Prescott has guided the Cowboys to an 11-2 record on the season, Big C. And Osweiler has only guided Houston to a 7-6 record. But everybody in Texas is talking about sit the black guy on the bench, Big C, and keep the white dude. And he's almost won double the amount of games and doesn't make anywhere near the same amount of money that Brock Osweiler's making for stealing money. Also, I want to bring up a couple more games, Big C. Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms, two guys that play NFL football. Even these guys, I mean, maybe they're drinking as they get older, where they talk about that CTE thing going on. These guys are talking about bench Dak Prescott for Tony Romo, even though Romo's only won one playoff game in 12 years. They didn't talk about benching anybody else that has the best record in the NFL. It's almost like that dumb guy, was it Danny Cannell, said, hey guys, I have a great idea. Let's trade the MVP and Cam Newton because it'll make the Panthers a better football team. I mean, what a knucklehead thing. Let's also look, Big C, at the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers with the great Ben Roethlisberger, they're 8-5, and Baltimore has the great Joe Flacco 7-6. Are they talking about benching those two quarterbacks, Big C?
Well, Charles, I think Ben threw 3 interceptions last week.
Yeah.
Against the Buffalo Bills, and it's not Le'Veon Bell.
You always talk about the facts. Why can't you just be emotional like everybody else? I mean, they're not talking about benching them. Why they want to bench Prescott? But go right ahead, Big C.
Well, Ben was responsible for Le'Veon Bell rushing for 236 yards on the ground, okay? He was out there blocking for Le'Veon. Ben did all of that.
Hey,
so
well,
he got the credit for the win.
Bell.
Le'Veon Bell didn't get it. The black guy got no credit for the victory in that game, Charles. But you look at that, and Joe Flacco looked the deficit against the Ravens not the Ravens, but the Patriots last week, Charles. Here's this guy, he's making almost twice as much money a game as Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady made him look like a junior high quarterback.
Yeah, he did.
All right, that's what he looked like.
Yeah.
Compared to Tom Brady. Tom Brady just picked the Ravens apart.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco struggled all night long, but that's what $26 million will get you, Charles. In elite performance like that. That's what you make.
Yeah.
And when you're making that kind of money, you got to expect a subpar performance. And we get that throughout the league, Charles.
Yeah.
From all of these quarterbacks, Dak Prescott's making roughly $800,000-$900,000 this year, Charles. That's all he's making.
Wow.
Tony Romo's making over $20 million.
Wow.
Holding the clipboard. Over $20 million. And I think what irks Jerry Jones the most is that I'm paying this guy $20+ million to hold a clipboard. I'm paying this guy nothing and he's winning games. I look buffoonish either way I look at this.
Well, Big C,
he looks stupid either way he's doing it, Charles. He's got a guy that's winning games.
Yeah.
Paying him nothing.
Yeah.
Got a guy that's watching the game, paying him the house.
Yeah.
And he looks stupid for either one. If I make a move over here and I lose, I'm a fool.
Yeah.
If I don't play him, then I'm still a fool for paying him.
Yeah.
So he can't win in anything he does.
Yeah, he's a rich fool. I wouldn't mind being that kind of fool, Big C. And I also want to say this segment is sponsored by United Labor Guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. Also, we are endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society, and we work with all of the unions in the country under the AFL-CIO. We're looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance workers because we simply want to put people back to work. You can follow Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. You can follow us also on Twitter at Yes Charlton. That's YES Charlton. Big C, I also want to get back into the world of the NFL. We look at the AFC North, and we talked about Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Let's look at the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're in first place, tied with the Oakland Raiders, but they have the lead when it comes to the tiebreaker. Alex Smith, they're 10-3 on the season, which is worse than the Dallas Cowboys record. The Oakland Raiders, they have this great quarterback in the name of Carr, may even be a league MVP. That's what some people think, at least in the AFC. And they're at 10-3. Should they talk about benching those two guys? Because we're talking about how we bench players that are always winning. We want to bench players who have their teams at the top of the NFL. When you think about benching anybody, and you know that you have a great quarterback in Carr, he's going to do a great job for the Oakland Raiders all season long. He's been great. And then Alex Smith, all Alex Smith has done is win games for Kansas City. We know that these two teams in Kansas City and Oakland, they're challenging right now for the ASB championship. So when you talk about benching guys like, Prescott down in Houston, actually in Dallas for having the Cowboys in first place, is there any talk of benching Alex Smith that has the Kansas City Chiefs in first place along with Carr for the Raiders? Would it make any sense to bench those guys too, since we're into benching quarterbacks in first place, Big C?
Well, Johnson, who are you going to play? Yes, Alex Smith has missed one game this year. He was replaced by Nick Foles with a concussion protocol.
Yeah.
But he came back in the following week after being on the bench, Johnson, and took over his playing role. Carr dislocated his pinky finger.
Yeah.
He hasn't sat down. He's played. But when you look at these quarterbacks, Johnson, no one is talking about challenging them. The coaches, ownership is very happy with how these quarterbacks are performing because they're winning.
Yeah.
And, this is one of the few times in NFL history that you've gone out and you've had double-digit wins as a quarterback, and all you hear is let's play the guy who used to lose for us.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting from all the armchair quarterbacks and broadcasters and people out there in the media saying this guy is successful.
Yeah.
If this was Zach, the guy Carson Wentz, or Jeff Goff with 11 victories, what would the media be saying about those quarterbacks, Jonathan? How great they were, how great the prognosticators were. They are all that you ever expect out of a quarterback. But the two guys that everybody laid their hats on, Carson Wentz and Jeff Goff, have been jokesters as far as playing quarterback in the NFL. Yes, they're starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Charlton, the productivity is just like any other losing quarterback. Be real. They're losing quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's half the starting quarterbacks in the league, Charlton. There's 16 other losing quarterbacks. So they haven't done anything great by being rookie starters. But Dak Prescott, being a winning quarterback, there's only one team, not one quarterback, one team that has equaled his record this year, Charlton. That's the Patriots, and it took them 3 quarterbacks to equal this one quarterback's record. So when you talk about the guy being more than what you expected, and this is where you want to put your future, in a guy who is winning, who is unnerved by all of everything around him, and think about it, Charlton, we talked about this weeks ago, how everybody at the media said Dallas simplified and dumbed down their offense to Dak Prescott.
I remember that.
And they also made calls to the opposing team saying, hey, you got to dumb down your defense because you got to dumb down quarterback
I think
here.
that was Wake Forest told them that, Big C. Was that Wake Forest that said they selling teams playing with a Louisville, one of those good old boys?
Wake Forest out there, broadcast the former coach. But think about it. How many times did Philadelphia and Los Angeles call opposing teams and, hey, you need to dumb it down because we got the rookie quarterback? Because I think Atlanta didn't answer that call last week before they got to the Coliseum.
I think they called
and I'm quite sure that the Redskins didn't take the call either against golf. So when you're talking about dumbing down, you either got one intelligent rookie and 2 dumb rookies, or you got organizations that can't figure it out.
Well, let me ask you this question, Big C. We'll look across in the NFC East, of course, is Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott has the Cowboys in first place in the best performance in the NFL this year, Big C. The Giants are in second place. They have Eli Manning. Washington has Cousins. Philadelphia has Wentz. Everybody has a worse record than Dallas. If you look at Washington, they have 7 wins, and Philadelphia has 5. Almost combined, Dak Prescott has outperformed those 2 teams in their $100 million quarterbacks, Big C. Is there any talk about benching Eli Manning, Kirk Cousins, or Carson Wentz, Big C? That they want to bench Prescott for being in first place?
Well, nobody, and you think about it, Charlie, the Dallas Cowboys not only are in first place in that division, but they've outscored all the other teams in that division, Charlton. They have the best offense in that division behind Dak Prescott. You look at Kirk Cousins on a $20 million one-year contract. They're going to franchise him again because he's not going to get the 10 wins, Charlton, and they're going to pay him $22 to $24 million next year. Eli Manning, guaranteed to give you 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter every game. Nobody talks about benching Eli when he throws his fourth quarter interceptions. It's always blaming somebody else. But Eli has led the NFL in his career in fourth quarter interceptions. Nobody's ever talked about benching Eli Manning, Charlton. Ever since he's taken over the starting job. But, and we talked about Carson Wentz earlier, Charlton. The guy looked like gangbusters, as everyone said, the first 3 games of the season because nobody nobody had any film on him.
Yeah.
Once they got a preseason worth of film on him, Charlton, he was very easy to read. Poor mechanics.
Yeah.
Going to isolate on the receiver that he's going to throw to. He's not going to throw the ball consistently more than 20 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So you had a game plan to defense him, Charlton. So defenses didn't have to dumb down. All they had to do was watch a little tape.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do.
Let me ask you this question. For all the good old boys in Dallas that they believe they're going to get back to the Super Bowl this year, I think Jerry Jones, Big C, would rather put Tony Romo in and not get to the Super Bowl than to hold the Lombardi Trophy again. If you don't think that's real, the Dallas Cowboys, they're the fourth highest scoring team in the NFL. They're the second highest scoring team in the NFC, only behind the Atlanta Falcons, Big C. And they're doing this with a rookie quarterback. Let's also look at another division. In the NFC South, we have Atlanta with Ryan, and we have Tampa Bay with Winston. Now, Atlanta has the Falcons at 8-5 on the season, and Tampa Bay under Winston, they're also at 8-5. And you talk about guys making $100 million, Big C. Are they talking about sitting or benching their starting quarterbacks and going with the backup guys for teams that are 4 games behind where the Cowboys are, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about the Falcons. They got off to a 5-1 start.
Yeah.
And they got off to a 5-1 start.
Yeah.
And their record now is 8-5.
Yeah.
So, they've been at basically, 3-4?
Yep.
3-4 in the last 7 games. But nobody's talked about benching Matt Ryan.
Right.
It's other, components of the team that have not been successful. Although Tampa's won their last 5, Charlton, it's been a complete reversal between the two organizations. But Matt Ryan has job security because he makes over $120 million a year, Charlton. That's job security. Your team could go on the skid. I think last year they ended up 8-8 after starting the season 5-0, 6-0. But no one talked about benching Matt Ryan. There were other problems within the team, not the quarterback. But if you're making that kind of money, Charlton, you should always outscore anybody. Just like Joe Flacco the other night against the Patriots.
Yeah.
He should have been able to get 4 touchdowns on the board with the amount of money that he makes. He shouldn't have a problem reading a defense. No. He shouldn't have the problem exploiting a secondary, Charlton. He should be smarter than the guys on the other side of the ball making that kind of money. They pay you for ability and intelligence.
Yeah.
When you're making over $100 million at quarterback, Charlton, you're paid for ability and intelligence.
Yeah.
And when you can't be a 500 quarterback and you're making $100 million, Charlton, maybe you lack ability and intelligence.
Well, see, Big C, the problem I have with you is you always want to talk about the facts. Why can't you just be emotional like everybody else? Big C, let's also look over, just to honor Boomer Esiason and the great Phil Simms talking about benching Dak Prescott. Let's look at the NFC. In the NFC North, you have Detroit, and the Lions are 9-4 in the season under the great Matthew Stafford, $100 million quarterback. And
hold on, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off for a second there, Jonathan. And I think a lot of that anger from Phil Simms comes when Jeff Hostetler, took over for the Giants. Yeah. And he wanted to come back and play against the Bills in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And Jeff Hostetler went down and got the win, and he was the Giants Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I remember that.
And I think he felt his legacy was tarnished. He was hurt because he never got a chance to go back to the Super Bowl again. Yeah. So Jeff Hostetler walked away with that hero as the Giants' last Super Bowl winning quarterback until Eli Manning came away, and Phil Simms had to live with that the rest of his career, and even during his broadcast time. So he never got over getting taken over by somebody else and them winning a Super Bowl. And so that's what comes back to him when he talks about Dak Prescott. Give Tony Romo this opportunity because Tony's in the twilight and may never see this opportunity again, so he thinks that Tony deserves it like he thought he deserved it when Jeff Hostetler won the game against the Bills on the Norwood White Super Bowl missed field goal. Yeah. And you look at Boomer. He got there once, Charlton. Once. And all he could do was watch Joe Montana do a virtuoso performance along with Jerry Rice.
He's still having dreams about Joe Montana, Big C. And also, when we look at the NFC North, the Detroit Lions, they're, again, 9-4 under the great Matthew Stafford, $100 million guy. Green Bay Packers under Aaron Rodgers, 7-6, $100 million guy. And if you look at that, Green Bay is barely above 500. Is there any talk about benching Stafford and also Rodgers for Detroit and Green Bay because they're fighting for first place, even though they're about 4 games behind Dallas? Because any thoughts on that?
There was talk earlier this season of firing the coach in Green Bay. McCarthy said, it's his fault that they're not performing. It's his fault they don't have a running back. It's his fault that the quarterback is not playing at the top of his game. Everybody was blaming McCarthy. Rodgers had some things wrong with. He's looked better in the past couple of weeks, Charlton. He's looked like Aaron Rodgers of old.
Yeah.
He's one of those quarterbacks that can make, straighten things out.
Yeah.
He still has a lot of game left in him and in his career.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford has played the best this year he's ever played in his career, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has the Lions in first place, but now he has that dislocated middle finger on his throwing hand.
Yeah.
We will see if it causes him problems this week, Charlton, because as you throw on the ball, everything is led by that inside finger, Charlton.
Yeah,
the pressure on the back of the ball, pushing it.
And I've seen a lot of guys when I went down south and I was dripping. I was actually grabbing somebody's cup of moonshine without their permission. I've seen what that middle finger looks like, Big C. So hopefully he won't be down south stealing somebody's moonshine, Big C. That middle finger can get you in trouble. And as the great Billy D. Williams told us, don't let the smooth taste fool you. And speaking of not letting the smooth taste fool you, we've covered all the divisions in the NFL except for this last one, the NFC West, and we have the game tonight up in Seattle with the great Seattle Seahawks. They're 8-4 under Russell Wilson, and the Arizona Cardinals are behind them at 5-7. You have the Rams coming to town at 4-9, the 49ers at 1-12. Is there any talk of benching Russell Wilson for having Seattle in first place in the NFC West, or even Palmer down in Arizona for having them and challenging in the NFC West? And then of course Jeff Goff, I don't even know what to say about him. He should still be at Cal Berkeley because he plays like he's just afraid, Big C. But any talk by the national media that these guys are about 7 games behind the Dallas Cowboys and they want to bench Prescott, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everybody is saying, you got to give Goff time to develop.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's giving Prescott time to develop, Charlton? Who's giving him time to develop? He came in from play 1 of the NFL season and was ready to play.
Yeah.
Jeff Goff was walking around with a sweatsuit on during that same time, Charlton. They're trying to develop him, let him ease into the game because they knew he was scared, that he could not understand all what was going on.
Yeah.
Carson Palmer, Charlton, everybody knows he's on the downside of his career. What is he, 37, 38 years old now? Had multiple knee injuries. Last year he had that dislocated finger, what we were just talking about with Stafford.
Was it the middle finger that he had dislocated, Big C, for giving Jeff Fisher some hand signals? Is that the one that dislocated?
Everybody was showing that hand signal that Jeff Fisher, everybody showing him the exit, Charlton. The exit that way.
I think Jeff Fisher, he also has that. He's been using that middle finger the last couple of weeks, Big C. Just all the talk going on in Los Angeles. I think he used it against Eric Dickerson. And ironically, after telling the Hall of Famer for the Rams that he's not welcome, look at who's not welcome now on the sideline. I think that's funny, Big C.
Well, you got to be careful what you wish for. But, you look at Seattle. What they scored 10 points last week in Green Bay, Charlton?
Yeah.
They scored 10 points. But I didn't hear Paul Allen hold a press conference talking about, we need to, get the backup in for Russell Wilson. I didn't hear the national media talking about we need to get the backup in for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He's been to more Super Bowls than Phil Simms as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Than Boomer Esiason as a quarterback.
Yeah.
More than Trent Dilfer as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And Troy Aikman is the only broadcaster who has been to more Super Bowls than Russell Wilson as a quarterback, Charlton.
And even Troy Aikman, when they did not sign Emmitt Smith, they lost their first 2 games with Emmitt Smith. When Jerry Jones, the same guy that wants to pull Prescott, when he didn't want to give Emmitt Smith the pay raise, Big C, because he helped them win 2 Super Bowls, they started 0-2, and Michael Irvin went crazy in the locker room, and he used his middle finger also, Big C, and that's when Jerry Jones said, okay, Emmitt, we'll give you the money.
Well, I think, that should, rattle Jerry's brain a little bit. The last time he screwed over a key black player in his offense, what happened to his team? They lost 2 in a row. So if he does that again, he can expect that same synopsis to occur, Charlton. When he screwed over Emmitt Smith, they went 0-2, but, Troy Aikman was still there. So what was the difference in the offense, Charlton? You still had Troy Aikman, this great quarterback, but he didn't have the protection of an Emmitt Smith, holding the defense at bay. So when Emmitt Smith came back, they go on this Super Bowl run, Charlton. It's ironic, the same type of scenario that you have in Dallas right now. You got Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. The same as you had with Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. No one talked about replacing Troy Aikman when they were 0-2. It wasn't Troy's fault, but they knew they needed Emmitt. So they brought in Emmitt. All of a sudden, Troy was great again. And here's Troy lambasting Dak Prescott, who is playing better than he ever played in his career, who's had a Prescott hasn't done.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I don't get from the media talk.
Yeah.
When we sit here and listen to everybody and we watch it on these programs, what can Romo do that Prescott has not done? But Jonathan, that's the question that they don't pose to anybody.
Yeah.
How is Romo going to make this team better than what they've been? Here's a quarterback, Jonathan, like I said, has not played football in a year.
Yeah.
Has not played in a year.
Yeah.
And the last time that he played, the Cowboys were 500, Jonathan.
Yeah.
500. So he hasn't played in a year. The last time you played, the team was 500. You were 2-2 when you got hurt.
Yeah.
So how are you going to make this organization better? That's the question nobody is posing. Everybody keeps saying Romo.
Yeah.
Romo. But what has Romo done for the Cowboys in the last year?
Well, Big C,
Nothing.
at all. And think about this. Everybody's back in love with Aaron Rodgers again. I think even Troy Aikman never won a game at Lambeau Field. Dak Prescott went into Lambeau Field, and they beat the Green Bay Packers. I think the last time Romo was there, he threw a pass about 30 yards downfield to Bryant that was incomplete, and he could have just dumped off for a 5-yard gain and a first down. That would have given them the chance, and the closest chance they had of going to a playoff game, to the NFC Championship game again. He choked by not trying to get a little dump off to get the first down. He tried to hit the home run, and that was the last chance he had in a playoff game, Big C, and they're looking for the same guy to do the same thing. And unfortunately, if Jerry Jones doesn't stop being a stupid person or knucklehead, Big C, they're going to say, Houston, we have a problem. Dallas would not be heading to Houston for the Super Bowl this year. We're going to be having a barbecue at Tony Romo's house with Jerry Jones drinking moonshine. Big C, I just think that's crazy. But anyway, no matter who you like, I think that all the players and all the owners of the other 31 teams in the NFL, they just hope that Jerry Jones will bench Dak Prescott and bring in Tony Romo, because that means the NFC Championship will either go through Atlanta or it will go through Seattle, Big C. That's just my thoughts, and we'll touch on a few more things that might be a bit controversial, but your thoughts on that, Big C, or the other owners happy, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I think you're truly accurate on that, because teams that have played the Cowboys know what the Cowboys have right now in their offensive scheme.
Yeah.
They have a talent. They have a mobile, athletic.
Yeah, they do have a full complement of players that can get things done for you. And no matter who you like, whether you like Dak Prescott or whether you like Tony Romo, doesn't really matter to me, because I just want to see good football. And if we can see good football, that's the only thing that matters. And it doesn't matter if you're a Cowboy fan or if you like the Seattle Seahawks or if you like even the Giants. A lot of people like the New York Giants. They think the Giants have a chance of getting to the playoffs. But I just think more people, they would love to see Jerry Jones do the foolish thing. He took out his best player in Emmitt Smith, wouldn't pay him back in the day. They started 0-2 after winning the Super Bowl. If they happen to bench Dak Prescott, I think they don't have to make reservations for Texas or for Houston, because they won't be going. Your thoughts, the last thoughts on that, Big C, before we touch on another topic. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, you know, if he does bench Prescott, Charlton, I think Jerry Jones something and a lump of coal in his stocking for Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go.
Yeah. You got a guy that's having a hard time even just winning basic football games when he doesn't have guys like Emmitt Smith or guys like he had Michael Irvin at the time, Big C, and he also had a great defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys when they were playing back in the day. They had just won 2 Super Bowls, and they would not sign the great Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt Smith was having to hold out. He had to hold out just to get some money, and they had a hard time bringing him in. And that's the same thing that they're trying to do right now. They're messing with the chemistry. It's a lot like having the old girlfriend that took good care of you, and then she leaves you. You found someone who takes better care of you, and now that you're riding around in that Bentley Ghost, she want to know where Jerry Jones lives, Big C. So hopefully he won't mind keeping Dak Prescott to get back to the Super Bowl. And again, Big C, we touched on that enough. I just want to get onto one more thing in this segment. It's sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. Tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports. Also by Beneath His Wings Foundation.org. Contact NCYN Entertainment when it comes to the motion. She's the best in Northern California. Big C, just a few more things coming up. We have the world of basketball, and we talked about the collective bargaining agreement. We talked about players deciding to sit out some games. And do you really think that's a big issue? Because when you think about players sitting out and people saying it's bad for the league, and then the next day we get the collective bargaining agreement solved, I don't think the players and the fans have as much power as they think. The league is going to make a lot of money because the advertisers love the NBA. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it is a bad thing for the league, Charlton. The league sets a bad precedent. And I think that the commissioners are really going to have to step in on this. I mean, Silver is a player-friendly commissioner.
Yeah, but they just got a pay raise, Big C. They just got a pay raise after these guys set out.
Yeah, they got a pay raise, Charlton, but they got to realize why that pay raise comes.
Yeah.
Who does the advertisers target? They target the fans, Charlton.
Yeah.
The people that are watching the games. That's where all that money comes from. They're trying to woo those people into watching the broadcast.
Yeah.
But if your ratings are going to go down, Charlton, because players are not playing in these games, especially these televised games, Charlton, where is the interest of tuning in? You know, Cleveland goes out last night, did not bring these three players, and got torched.
Yeah.
As they should have, Charlton. They got torched. They got embarrassed.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the product that a fan is paying regular dollar for to see the regular roster, Charlton, play.
Yeah.
And so what type of discount is being given back to the fans to say, hey, the top three players on this opposing team not show up?
Yeah.
And these are the players that you advertise. You advertise a LeBron. You advertise a Love. You advertise an Irving being in town, you know, coming in to beat your team or challenge your team. But that did not occur last night, Charlton. So these fans were left there. You come out in this inclement weather this time of the year to see these great performers, and they don't show up. It's like going to the Ringling Brothers Circus, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the ringmaster and the elephants don't show up. Or the tigers.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like, okay, we got the clowns, but we don't.
Yeah, the elephants don't want to show up, Big C, because they realize that everybody's going to be jumping on them, and I'm sure the elephants would get better treatment if they were not in a cage or having a rope around their head. Big C, that's the issue when you have elephants at the circus, and some people don't believe that we need to have, you know, live animals in a circus. But if that's the case, how bad will people feel if they go to a Dallas Cowboy game and Dak Prescott doesn't show up either? That's the same issue I think we have, Big C, when people not showing up for animals. Of course, we have the animal rights lover here in California, so that might be an issue for some of the good old boys. But just back when it comes to the same time that players get this extension, it just happens to be before they set out of the game, Big C, and that's what I think might be an issue when it comes to that. They had to sit out, and then they get a pay extension anyway, Big C. So I don't really think it hurts the guys by sitting out. I think it was the tipping point, like Malcolm Gladwell talked about. Now they got the pay raise, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know what the commissioner's going to really have to do, Charles? You're going to have to look at when you sit down star players for a game.
Yeah.
You got to start finding the organization $1 million, okay?
Yeah.
You find the organization $1 million, you find the players $250,000.
Yeah.
Players are not going to sit out many games, Charles. They will sit on the bench, but they will not sit out. They will come to the game at least.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going to have to set a precedent, and the NBA is all about money. It's all about dollars. And until you start taking money from athletes, they really don't care. Until you start taking money from businesses, Charlton, they don't care.
Yeah.
When you start finding people, whether it's in money, whether it's in athletics, whether it's in business, when you make people feel financially what other people are feeling because you don't give them what they've paid for, Charlton.
Like, are you talking about the people that work for Donald Trump?
You know, all the contractors in these houses are still looking for the paycheck, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they said that they did do good work.
Yeah. Now, let me just say one more thing about the great Donald Trump. I know we're talking about sports, but I think Donald Trump is so brazen, and he's showing you. I think he and also Jerry Jones, they may come from the same ilk, Big C, because they can have success all around them, but they keep trying to screw it up. I think this is one of the worst cabinets that's been put together in the history of the presidency. It's like the old white club again, these good old boys, and this is like the 1940s again, the 1940s White House again. It just doesn't feel like it's fair. It doesn't seem like there's any equality involved, Big C. It's like Jerry Jones not understanding how Emmitt Smith helped them win a Super Bowl until they lost 2 games, and it took a black guy, Michael Irvin, and even Charles Haley to start tearing up the locker room before he got out the paycheck and paid Emmitt. And they happen to win another Super Bowl based on that, Big C. So sometimes maybe Dak Prescott's going to have to go tear up the locker room for the Dallas Cowboys to help them get back on track, Big C. But I just want to say in this final segment, Charlton Big C Sports are launching a sports calendar. We actually have some women that started the Playboy magazine under the great Hugh Hefner, and clothing line to help. We can sell clothing all over the world. Any type of merchandiser for any professional team or any college team or any high school team. We actually have that offer coming up through one of our sports programs. And I just want to say that anyone that wants to order merchandising, you have a chance to go to a website anywhere in the world, any sports league, and order it from Charlton and Big C as we start our clothing line. Big C, as we just finished out for tonight, and we have the tip-off or the kickoff coming up for Seattle and the Rams. I just want to say that tonight's game in the NBA, New Orleans is a 4-point favorite over Indiana. Milwaukee's favorite by 2 over Chicago. San Antonio, they're a 7.5-point favorite over Phoenix. Denver's favorite by 1 over Portland. And Golden State's favored by 14 over the New York Knicks, Big C. But just going back into everything we talked about from Prescott, some of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, he's the only one with the best record. And there's talking about benching this guy. It just doesn't make any sense for Boomer Esiason and some of the good old boys that talked about benching him. Doesn't make any sense at all. But I want to get your thoughts on what you're looking forward to coming up, Big C, whether it's NBA or NFL football, or learning if Jerry Jones will actually bench Prescott, who has the best record in the league.
Well, Charlton, I'm looking for the NBA to improve their play. I'm looking for teams to step up.
Yeah.
You're making more money now. You're going to make more money.
Yeah.
Is your play going to increase 50%?
Yeah.
Is the point production going to increase in the league? These are the things. How much more are the players going to put out for the fans with the amount of money that they're going to make now, Charlton? I'm looking at this game tonight in Seattle with the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
This is a game that the Seahawks desperately need to dominate, not win, but dominate. They need to get on track, and they really need to put the Rams away. They need to leave no doubt. This reminds me of Remember the Titans with Coach Boone.
Yeah.
Let's leave no doubt in their mind. That's what Pete Carroll needs to get across tonight to the Seahawks, because you got this team coming in with this quarterback who's been a little unnerved. You got to get back on track because you've looked bad in 2 of your last 3 games.
Yeah.
You need to dominate at home. And just the world of sports, Charlton, where we've got to overall.
Yeah.
I'd love for the talk to stop about Prescott being benched. It's not going to stop, Charlton, because it's sexy. It's sexy to all those guys. They don't want to see the success of an African-American quarterback. And I'm talking across the board, Charlton, in the league. As the broadcasters talk about it, as other owners have talked about it, Charlton, even the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott is not the first African-American quarterback that he's had since he's been there. He's had Reggie Collier. He's had the kid out of Georgia, Carter.
Yeah.
He's had him, Quincy Carter, play quarterback there, and he's had Eric Wright. He's had 3 previous black quarterbacks in Dallas.
Yeah.
This is one that has been successful, and he has not been able to handle that. Got to understand, Jerry Jones is an Arkansas boy.
Yeah.
Way back before desegregation. When he played college football, they didn't have African Americans in the
You
SEC.
mean they didn't have to take orders from some of them, Big C? Is that what you're saying?
In the Southwest Conference, he didn't know anything about that when he was in college. So, this is a new day for him to have the success. To have that success, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for him to handle also. As much as it is for the national media, it's hard to accept change.
Yeah.
When you look at America, it's hard to accept change. It's almost like Donald Trump. We're going to go back to the good old days when we were in charge and we could do anything we wanted to people.
Yeah.
That's almost what like Jerry Jones is saying to Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I love what you've done for you. You made my organization great again, but I gotta give the credit to my old boyfriend over here. I gotta give it to him.
Big C, who was that great actor? And we'll close out in just a few minutes. But that great actor, Sidney Poitier. There was a movie that he did back in the day called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and it was about white society feeling awkward about a black man coming into a white home dating a white lady, Big C. And
Katharine Hepburn played the mother in that movie, Charles.
Hepburn, and they made it seem like this is so unnatural for 2 human beings to want to court each other. I know miscegenation is looked upon, it's frowned upon back in the day of Jim Crow, but all the slave owners, they were sleeping with all the black slaves, as many as they could, Big C, and then going back home to their wives. So that's how we got a lot of what they call the miscegenation going on. But they made it seem like there's an elephant coming home to date this white lady, and it's the great actor Sidney Poitier. And I don't say that flippantly because a lot of people still have that mentality. And for all you broadcasters out there, especially the ones of you that are really respected at your stations, everybody's chastising the team with the best record in the NFL this year. He's the only one they're talking about benching for being in first place. No other
That's right. And the lowest paid starting quarterback in the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah.
The best record and the lowest paid starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Big C, you can only hear it on Big C Sports, and I love this show, and I love what we do, and I love the fact that we call it Real Talk. We're the only sports show in the world that does it extemporaneously. That means no headphones in our ear, no producer, and telling us what to say. We don't have any one of those things called teleprompters that you see a lot on the other networks, Big C. So I don't know what's going on in the world of broadcast, but if all of our brethren under the late Greg Sager, who always reported good commentary, and he was always there asking good questions and trying to do things that were fair, Big C. I think it's a shame that some of our broadcast brethren, instead of talking about the facts, they want to make their own story. Like, you know what, I have a great idea. Let's bench Steph Curry because he has the Golden State Warriors in first place. That's what they're doing with Prescott, Big C. Now, let me call on the show on the great Greg Sager and also the world of broadcast. And again, our hearts go out to him and his family, and God rest him, and may he rest in peace. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, as we talked about Craig earlier, Johnson, he's really set the precedence for sideline reporters. Yeah. When you think of reporters of knowledge, we have so many people on the sideline nowadays, Johnson, because they have a pretty face. Okay, yeah. This is what they bring to the broadcast. Yeah. But you know, when you look at Greg Sager, this was a guy who was fighting cancer, who came back to the sideline with no hair, Johnson, whose body had been riddled from cancer. But the pride and character that he had as a man, as a professional, stood above all of that, Charlton. It wasn't about his look. It was about his character, Charlton. It's what everybody appreciated with Craig Sager. Not as networks want to look at now that you forget about professionals. You want to bring in people who look good, who are semi-sexy. That's what they're trying to sell, Charlton. I want the kind of person that Craig Sager was, Charlton, on the sideline. That made me appreciate what I was listening to, what I was watching, who gave me some insight, some comment of what somebody else could not give because of the relationships that he had with players and coaches and the respect that they had for him, Charlton. This is a cherished part of sports that we will not have any longer, Charlton. We will not have it any longer. We won't see another sideline analyst or journalist such as we've seen in Greg Sager in the rest of our lifetime, Charlton. And he's going to be sorely missed on every level, personal, family, and professional.
Well, I always appreciate your words, Big C. No matter who you are, what you're going through, just always keep trying. Keep swinging the bat. Keep doing the best you can. And every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, we can talk to the Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And United States. That's what Charlton and Big C Sports really freestyle sports show in the world, Big C. We do it without teleprompters and no commercial plug. And I'm here and I'm also going to tell you, we talk about this all the time. There's never any excuse for violence against women. If you know any woman, fantastic day.